Radio, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another video where we are going to hopefully be getting this motor inside the car today. Now, I've just been mucking around for the last few hours thinking that I was just going to be able to slip the manifold on, get a few bits and pieces tidied up, and we could pretty much get this bad boy in there. But in true fashion, cars being cars, it hasn't been the case. So some of you may have dealt with this before, but sometimes the bolt holes on these flanges that you buy from various fair places don't quite line up. So we have just been going out and milling a few of them out. You can kind of see there, some of them don't line up the best. That one's not too bad. That one was particularly quite shit. I think I've got it pretty good now that it's going to work, and that pretty much leads us to our next little issue that we've been facing. So I guess you could say it was probably a little bit of an oversight, but we obviously the shed that we made the manifold in wasn't this shed that the motor was in, and when we went to put the manifold on, we just had a bit of a clearance issue. So we'll just cut a little bit of an engine mount out here, and now that is going to slip on up in there, and then you'll see here exhibit A of what our issue was going to be. Yeah, you get that on the big jobs. So yeah, not a major though, not a major, do not fear. I think we can, I'm relatively sure that it's salvageable. So I've just got the bit here that I cut out, and I'm just going to grind it down, fabricate basically it to be like that. So I'm just going to cut those little tabs off. I think I've measured it up pretty good, that should work. So obviously it's not going to be like that, it'll sit flush in it, but yeah, we're just going to cut that down, and then sort of tack it in place, make sure that's going to work. And hopefully it should be money. But yeah, I don't think it's not going to affect fuck all, to be honest. I think it'll be fine once it's all in place and painted and shit. You'll never know. Hopefully, I don't think the cert guy will have too much of a whinge if he notices at all. So that is, of course, if he's watching. But that's okay. We shall deal with that. Everything else is fitting up pretty good though. Those of you with a keen eye will notice that we do have a fresh set of titanium studs on here. Now, in the past, titanium studs have always been far too expensive and pretty much out of reach, but I found a new place. It's called, what's it called? Ultimate Fab Supplies. So shout out to you, mate. I think these were like 150 bucks for the full set of exhaust and turbo studs. So it was gonna be like 105 or 110 for just regular high 10. With our turbo. Oh, easy on. Just like that. That is going to look fucking gangster. So yeah, the next step is to, I think I'll try and put the motor in without the manifolds on. I'll weld up this little plate quickly, and we might think about putting this damn thing in today, I think. Mad Mike Summer Bash is actually on Friday, so I really shouldn't be mucking around with this. I should be trying to focus on this, but nothing too major to worry about on that front. So that'll all be uncovered in another video though. So that's that, this is this, that's what we're gonna get into today. Let's get it. So once we had cut our little piece of steel to our desired size, we then blazed it into place with a few tacks. After hitting it with a can of spray paint, it came up pretty damn sweet. As you can see here, the dog was also just as enthused. Another little job that was on the radar was to convert our throttle body to drive-by-wire. Once we had cut off our original flange, I then went ahead and ordered a drive-by-wire flange. I then had my good friend Chanel to weld that into place. A couple of other jobs that I wanted to tick off before we could think about putting this motor in place is convert the oil filter stud to an RB30, which allows you to run the oil filter hard up against the block, and also convert our thermostat housing block to AN, which allows you to convert all your heater hoses to -10. Once these jobs are out of the way, we could then look at actually getting the motor in, but not before putting some nolothane bushes into the power steering rack, because the previous ones were looking pretty shit and dusty. Then of course it was just time to get this damn motor in there. Now those of you that have put motors in cars before will know that it is a fair amount of grunt work if you are by yourself. It does pay to take the time and put drop cloths and various other things around the place if you are wanting to take care of your engine bay like I was. I decided to take our freshly painted R31 covers off the motor just to reduce the risk of them getting damaged. Now at this stage we are just going to put the factory RB20 deck gearbox back behind it just for test purposes to run this motor up and make sure that everything is healthy. We're not too sure, it might even go to the dyno. And then a third gear dump to blow it to smithereens in celebration. After a couple of hours of lugging all of these parts in by myself, as you can see here, I was pretty fucking rooted. God damn it. Shears in the hole. Gearbox and engine in the car. That was like ultimate power arrow, just get in, get it done. I had to cut my finger off in the process, hands are filthy. Fuck, it's just never a fast job. Anyhow, I gotta go bloody mow the lawns now before the missus gets home, and we'll resume this later in the evening. It then became the fun part of starting to put some of our new parts on the motor for the first time that it's been in the bay. You'll see here the first item that was to go on, which I was the most nervous about, was our exhaust manifold. Considering that this thing had never been on a motor and inside a car at the same time before, I wanted to get that in there first and to check for clearances. You will soon see here that we did have another little clearance issue on the engine mount itself. Definitely yet another oversight, but not a major, as it was only fouling by about 10 mil. Once we had done that, we were absolutely on the money, and this thing was sitting in there beautifully without any problems at all. Once we had that sorted, we could then look at putting all of our fresh bling parts on the motor for the first time since the motor had been in the bay. This was an extremely rewarding process, as I knew that all the parts were going to look absolutely gangster in there, and it was also a massive milestone for the build. Now, another modification that I took inspiration from for the red car was to relocate the factory fuse box. Usually where the radiator overflow sits, I have found that the fuse box looks far more gangster down in the corner. It does mean that you will have to fabricate or supply a new radiator overflow, but that is all part of the process. All that's required is cut off the factory tabs and make up a couple of brackets, and then you are good to go. The time had then come to start thinking about the fabrication process, which meant moving the car to the other side of the shed, as that's where the fab table is set up. This was also the first time we had had the car outside with the motor in it, all looking spick and brand new, and man did it look shit hot. So with the car in its new spot on the other side of the shed, I then got into mounting the HKS turbine housing cover to fit correctly. It does come with its own set of issues, as it was never designed for these turbos, however, so it does require a little bit of fabrication of the factory tabs to make work. Once we had that sorted, it was of course time to start looking into fabricating this thing up altogether. Now for the intercooler piping, I went with 2.5-inch aluminium pipe with a whole bunch of stainless for the exhaust. Now this was one task that I really wanted to give a go myself, but after a lot of mucking around, I soon realized that I just do not have the skill set and was not comfortable to carry out this task without some help from a mate. I am a huge believer in putting a value on your time, and watching the amount of time that it took my mate Chanel to blitz out the cooler piping was truly amazing, and would have taken me a shitload longer and would nowhere near have delivered the same results, merely smashing this out in about 4 hours. Once we had the intercooler piping all sorted, we then started thinking about the exhaust. Now I wanted to go with a 4-inch downpipe on this, just to release as much exhaust gas pressure from our 3582 as possible. This of course came with its own set of challenges, being that it is so large and we are going to be running a lot of the factory accessories such as heater and aircon in the future. But after a little bit of mild persuasion, I think we are going to have just enough room to get the job done. So that is pretty much her as she sits at the moment. We have been fairly busy planning out the next stages of what we're going to do with the exhaust, but for now we have decided to leave it as it is. We do have to incorporate the whole plumbed in external gate this time, which is something new to myself. And we certainly never did with the red car. We do also have to think about a couple of mufflers, probably a resonator in the middle and a big bore muffler at the back. Apart from that, everything is coming together. You will see that we have got the Advan RGs on there. I wasn't going to put these on until the car was running, but I honestly just got a little bit too excited and had to kind of get them on there. Easily my most favorite monoblock wheel of all time. We have had them on the red car before and they looked fucking insane. I wish I could have kept them on it, to be honest, but they're honestly just not worth losing. With what that thing gets up to, it probably wouldn't stand the test of time too well. So this is where they're going to go, and this is where they will be staying for the foreseeable future. We'll say that anyway. Typical car guy, you know, no wheels are going to be the forever wheels, but we do still have a little bit of fitment to play around with. These are a 21540 that are on here at the moment, and with it on the ground, there is a fair bit of clearance. So it does kind of leave a good amount of room for them to tuck up under the guard, but yeah, I'm not too sure. I kind of want to get it sort of like a little bit more track spec style. It's obviously going to be on the ground, but something with a bit more chunk on it would be good. These do fit pretty damn good, so I'm debating whether I get a full set of 235/40 semis and chuck them on it. We could test them, we'll put these tyres on those wheels anyway. But we'll figure that out in the fullness of time. For the meantime, we are going to go ahead and try and chip away at the exhaust over the holidays now. It's Christmas Day tomorrow, so not a lot's going to be happening. Really wanted to try and get this video out by now, to be honest, but due course with busy time of the year and all that shit, probably not going to happen. So this will probably come out sometime with the holidays. And then we can really just start looking at wiring it up. We are pretty damn close to a start, to be honest. There's all the usual stuff to make up, like lines, and we've got the heater system, the heater core to worry about. So hopefully that doesn't leak, and we've got a little bit of 1.5 inch aluminium tube that we're gonna weld on there. I think it's gonna be the best thing to do into the rad. Obviously got to get a radiator, tidy this harness up a little bit more still. We have been chipping away on some interior pieces, so we will uncover that probably in the next video. But for the time being, that's going to do it, I think. So thank you very much for watching and keeping up with the process. Thanks for all the support. Like, it's been crazy. I think I might have mentioned this in the other video, but it's honestly insane. People coming up to the track and being like, "Yo, man, love the builds. Keep it up." You know, all the inspiring comments, you might say. It really does motivate you to do this shit more, because coming down here and effectively talking to yourself, it feels pretty weird sometimes, but it's sick to see that it is getting some traction and you guys do appreciate it. And it really does fucking mean the world. So thank you for watching. Have a good Christmas, holidays, all that shit, and we will catch you next time. Peace.